Hey Tiger, it's July 21st, 2025. I haven't heard from you or gotten a message from you since October of 2024. So this is a record, longest it's ever been, but not been easy for me. And I'm sure not easy for you either. But uh, I'm starting to actually feel maybe, there's a possibility I may never talk to you again. I mean, I don't assume anymore that we'll ever see each other again anymore. I mean, this is where this has been going. But anyway, I just thought about making this video because I want you to actually know who this kid is. This kid, you've never met or seen him before. You don't even know who he is, but. Believe it or not, this kid has a direct effect in your life. This one kid and this family, this man. So I thought I'd make this video and just tell you who these people are and how and why they affect your life. And I think you should know these kinds of things because someday you won't know them. But anyway, I thought about that and do you know what the butterfly effect is? Have you ever heard that term? It's a very famous movie in 2004. But also, you and I don't know if you remember this, but in 2005, yeah, I won a trip to Disney World for production with my investment stuff when I was working at the bank. And so I took you to Disney World with me. Do you remember that? One of our very first big adventures, vacations or whatever. But I had actually worked during the day. But anyway, we went to Disney World. And while you were off running around the park every day with Darren's daughter and his wife, having such an amazing time, I was in investment conferences and listening to speakers. There was a guy named Malcolm Gladwell there, who I actually met, and he gave me a signed copy of his books. But very famous guy who wrote amazing books that you should consider reading someday, like Blink and a few others, but talks about the butterfly effect and how like one tiny event in one day, 1 minute of one day can affect the trajectory of the rest of your life. You know, just taking one turn down one street, one thing might happen to you that will change the rest of your life. How meeting one person in a coffee shop can literally change your life for good or for bad. They're called butterfly effects. I think the name came from, the question was, when a butterfly flaps its wings, does it cause an earthquake in Japan? Well, I don't think it does. But that's how the conversation is sparked. You know, when one little event is powerful enough to actually shape the rest of your life, the trajectory of your life. And so I don't know how much you think about all that kind of stuff, but I started thinking about it over the last couple months. Butterfly effects, butterfly moments, butterfly events that actually are responsible for where your life is today. You know, for good or for bad, however you perceive it, I don't know. And I just thought I would share some things that you don't know, or maybe you do know, but you don't know all the details. You know, and because maybe someday I won't be able to do this with you. So anyway, in 1980, I was about 16 years old. I got asked by a friend of mine named Andy to go on Saturday and make a few bucks painting some rich people's houses on the other side of the river. Anyway, I was making $3.50 to $4 per hour. That's what I was making. And I started to go over there painting for this family. Anyway, these people were uber rich. I mean, super rich. I mean, unlike anything I had ever met before. I mean, you know, it's hard for you to really understand what my home was like or what growing up in my father and my mother's family was like. I can tell you about it, and I should make a video about that someday just to actually make you really understand just how poor we really, really were. I mean, we were poorer than your mother and father, than your mother's family, by far. I mean, we really had nothing, you know. So for me to go over there and with this family and paint for these people, I was only 16 years old, and just see their house, their weekend home. He was a corporate lawyer on Wall Street, and this was their weekend home in Connecticut, Lyme, Connecticut. I was intimidated. I was like, I didn't feel, the whole thing, my jaw was down here and it never came back because I didn't have experience with people like that or situations like that at that time in my life. I had no confidence at all about that. And, but anyway, it was a butterfly effect for me, a butterfly moment for me. These people actually liked me. So going there one day turned into 1 week and years. I became almost part of their family. Not really their family, but as close as one can get. But they taught me about how to speak in that world, how to talk in that world, just how that world rolled. They literally paid me not just to paint their weekend house, but they brought me into New York City, where they lived on Lexington, or actually they lived at 1269 Madison Avenue in New York City on the Upper East Side. Super rich people. But I got to live in New York City for a summer with them. They're called the Jewetts, Jonathan Jewett, and his wife Tucky Jewett. Huge influence on my life. Even though I had many problems in my life back then, between 16 and 23, I had alcohol problems. I crashed cars. I wrecked 2 of their cars, 2. Completely destroyed 2 of their cars. But they were still there for me. Believe it or not. They really were amazing people. But anyway, they used to pay me to take their daughters, drive them back to boarding school. One went to Milton Academy, the other one went to Groton Academy. And they had a little son. He was just a little guy. He was like 4.5 when I first met him, maybe 5. His name was Ian. I remember his full name was Ian Sheaf Jewett. And since Dad was a corporate lawyer on Wall Street, always traveling, always going all around the world, he didn't get to spend that much time with Ian. And I'd never heard the name Ian before. That name, like, I didn't know that name. It was a foreign name to me. I'd never known anyone named Ian at that time. Anyway, he used to pay me to play with Ian. He used to pay me. He says, okay, here's what you're doing while I'm gone. His wife would be at the weekend home where I was working with Ian. And he used to say, okay, I want you to rake the garden, paint the house, paint the barn, do this, do that. And for 3 hours, play with Ian, kickball or volleyball or whatever, teach him this or that and the other. So the family was really amazing. And I loved this kid. He's blonde hair, blue eyes and everything, but he was the inspiration behind your name, believe it or not. That's actually where the inspiration came from when we gave you your name. It was a combination of 3 things, actually. 1, my experience with Ian, I never forgot that. 2, we're Scottish, or at least I'm Scottish. I have a Scottish heritage, UK, English, Scottish, and whatnot. Ian's a Scottish name. And also in my youth, my very favorite band at the time was Jethro Tull, as you remember, perhaps. We used to play Jethro Tull when we were driving in the Porsche. Aqualung was the song that we often played when we were in the Porsche. I don't know if you remember that, when I was taking you back and forth to daycare after school. We would put that song on in the Porsche. But anyway, the lead singer of Jethro Tull was named Ian Anderson, I later learned. So those are the Ians that I had in my life, and that was the butterfly moment that actually was responsible for your name. That's how you ended up with your name. Your mom didn't have any idea of what to name you if you're a boy. She just couldn't come up with anything. I remember I also liked the name Benjamin, but I didn't name you Benjamin because I didn't want you to have a one-syllable first name like me, Joe Clough. I always thought that was kind of boring, Joe Clough, right? I always wanted someone to be forced to give you two syllables. So anyway, you didn't get named Benjamin because I knew it would be Ben Clough. And so Ian was the natural choice. And to be honest with you, in hindsight, I think it was perfect. I love your name. I think it suits you perfect. So anyway, that's the history behind your name and how you got your name. And this is the little guy that was the inspiration behind your name. Ian Jewett was his name, is his name. Jonathan died just during COVID. Anyway, I'll tell you more about the Jewetts some other day, but that's the butterfly effect. Like, just because I went painting that one day and developed a relationship with this family, that path took me to your name. And that's the result of how you became Ian Joseph Clough. So I hope you enjoy knowing that, because that's something, maybe you're going to tell your kids or someone else someday when someone says, oh, how did you get your name? Well, that's how you got your name. But, in your life, there's many butterfly effects, and there's also butterfly effects like, one thing happened that helped you avoid something that potentially could have been a very different trajectory to your life. And I don't want to go negative on this video. That's not the point of my video. But this is fact, so it's not meant to go in a negative direction, but you were this close, okay? This close to going to grade school in Montpelier at the Waldorf school, or I don't know, some other hippie type school over in Montpelier. This close. I would tell you that it almost happened. And if in fact that happened, the next step would have been, after that, you would have ended up attending high school at Milton over in Burlington. When I tell you we were this close, meaning like it was 50-50 where it almost happened. And this is how it almost happened. But anyway, more importantly than how it almost happened is, can you just stop for a minute? And okay, you went to St. John's Wort Academy, which is clearly the best school in all of Vermont, no doubt about it. Huge opportunity, and virtually some of your best friends in your life are because of your association with St. John's Wort Academy. And obviously that was a good experience for you. But if it went the other way, would your life be the same, or do you think it would have been better? If you could have rolled the dice all over again, would you have wanted the butterfly to take you the other way? And this is very interesting, really, if you think about it. This would be something, think about that. And then ask yourself, try to slow down for a moment and put yourself in that position and imagine your life going that way, because it was that close to going that way. And this is how and why. I don't want to take this totally negative, but this is how and why. So your mom and me, when we were getting divorced, the divorce started in like 2004. You were 4.5 or 5 years old. It went on for like 2 or 3 years, and then she revisited it again 4 or 5 years later. It just was just years of court struggles and hundreds of thousands of dollars. It cost me, because I ended up having to pay for everything because I was the defendant. Anyway, as you know, I didn't want the divorce. It wasn't my idea to get divorced. Without going into all the details about that, the reason why we got divorced, okay, fact, was that your mother was having an affair with Andy, who did not have a driver's license, who had hair down to his ass and banged on the drums all night. He didn't really have a job. He just played in a band, and he was a chronic marijuana user. And I mean, it was shocking. But your mom was having an affair with him, and then decided she would lie to me and tell me that she wanted to find herself, and she just wanted to have an apartment and separate for a little while she found herself. And then we, of course, learned that that was not true. None of that was true. And what she was really doing was having an affair, and she just wanted to get her own apartment and get set up, and then carry on her affair with Andy in Burlington, and then take you for that ride. Those are facts. I mean, that's not like I want to share that with you. That's what really happened. When she first left the house, I didn't actually know about the affair. And then, of course, I was told about the affair by one of your friends at the Barnet Pumsumsick bus stop. Her mother told me about it. That's how I learned about your mom and Andy. When I asked your mother about it, that's when she got the lawyer, and then boom, everything ended up in court, and everything was true. So anyway, long story short, in talking about how the butterfly effect has major changes in life, what ended up happening is, well, let me first preface it by saying this. I begged your mom at the time to do joint custody, where that means you would be with me half-time legally and half-time with your mother legally. And your mom refused. She would not do it. She said no. She wouldn't talk to me back then because she knew what she was doing wasn't correct, but she didn't want to have a discussion with me because she couldn't defend it. So anyway, what ended up happening was the court cannot grant legally joint custody. It must grant sole physical and legal custody one way or the other. It's a one parent or the other. It cannot legally grant joint custody unless both parents agree to joint custody, because the court wants to know that these parents agree with that. So your mom would not agree to joint custody because she was advised by her lawyer and by Lisa that you don't need to accept joint custody. In fact, you will get much more money from him if you get full custody and you have him all the time. You have a rich financial advisor husband. You are the mother, you are the lady, you are the woman in Vermont. There's no chance you will lose. So and by the way, you want to be able to move to Burlington, and you need to have full physical custody to make that happen. That's what happened. And so she didn't want to grant joint custody because she didn't want to stay in the Northeast Kingdom. She didn't want you to go to school over there. She wanted to live in Burlington with Andy, and she wanted the money that went along with that, which would not have come if in fact it was just joint custody. These are facts, okay? I'm not trying to say something to make something go one way or the other. I'm telling you facts, and you can look at the record if you want to see those facts. And there's many people who were in the picture at the time to back that fact up. So I'm only telling you this because the butterfly effect, and it's something you really need to know. Anyway, your wedding, by the way, let me interject your wedding first, okay? By the way, one of your friends that went to your wedding sent me some video and pictures of your wedding, and I must tell you, it looks like you had a beautiful wedding. And I was genuinely, sincerely proud to watch the videos about your wedding. I was blown away by how beautiful everything was and how happy you looked. And I was generally happy to watch the video, and of course I was sad I wasn't there. You know, you are my only living relative, and so to watch this event and not be there, it made me sad. But I was also happy to see that you looked happy in the video. So congratulations about your wedding. I want you to know that. Congratulations. Another thing I learned about your wedding day is I learned that you or Gabby or somebody appointed Lisa to give a reflection speech about everything or talk. That hit hard, okay? Especially Lisa. That just blew my mind. I actually thought when I learned about this that, boy, it must be a different Lisa. It cannot be Lisa Timpson. It cannot be Lisa Gay, because she wasn't part of your youth. She wasn't there at all. I mean, there's no way this woman can deliver a reflection about Ian's life or the wedding. I mean, she wasn't there. And not only was she wasn't there, she actually had an extremely negative influence on your life, which, maybe you don't know the whole detail. But I want to share for 1 second, okay? Because if the Urias family was there, they only see through one lens. They only see, this is so nice. Ian's aunt is here delivering this nice message. Oh, what a nice lady she was. Ian was so lucky to have her bringing him up and involved in his life and whatnot. Oh, it's so sad. Ian's father is not here. Oh my gosh, awful that this guy doesn't attend his son's wedding and all of that. And I can't blame the Urias family for feeling that way, because if they only see through one view and one lens, who can blame them? I mean, I might share the same feeling. But Lisa, let me just share this about Lisa. I don't think you know the whole detail, okay? So I just want to just tell you something about Lisa and your mom. When we were going through the divorce, which your mother initiated because of her affair with Andy, the pot-smoking, long-hair addict who lived in Burlington, who did not even have a driver's license. That's the reason why we got divorced. But it was obvious to the Lisa and your mom and the lawyer that, well, wait a minute, Ian's father's not just going to give up. He's not going to just give this kid to us. He's not going to do it. And so we need to pull out some bigger guns. And so we had the trial. In the courtroom was sitting, okay, Phil and Pat Pierce, our neighbors. You remember them? Joyce and Bruce. You remember Joyce and Bruce? Dave and Marie. You remember Dave and Marie? These were all your mother and I's friends at the time. Not just my friends, but your mother and I's friends. The Crottos were quite involved also back then. Melissa was your babysitter. Hugh's mother was involved and knew about the whole situation. In the courtroom was also your kindergarten teacher, okay? In the courtroom was your dentist, okay? So all these people were in there to testify to the court about my involvement in your life and what kind of father I was. But before all of that happened, your mother put Lisa on the stand. And Lisa got up in front of the judge and in front of all these people and literally categorically told categorical lie, categorical 100% fabricated lie, which really turned on her to really hurt her and your mother and cause everything to go south. Lisa literally got up in front of the judge and told this dramatic story about how she was taking care of you one day and you were on this river up in Highland Pond and you were floating leaves in the stream, and she told this story about how the leaf was cascading in the ripples of the water and how it was echoing off your face, the shadows and blah, blah, blah. Really dramatic story. And the gist of the story was she couldn't help but to see the sadness in your face and how you began to tell her that you were suffering from your father's intense abuse and how he did awful things to you and how unhappy you were because of having to spend any time at all with me because I was a horrifically bad person. Okay, this is in front of me, directly in the court and in front of other people. Of course, everyone in the court was just, because we all knew none of this was true. And we knew this was not an exaggeration, but a categorical lie that Lisa told and your mother supported in order to just win that custody. And then the other thing is Lisa and the court knew that, okay, they might not give Ian to his mother because his mother clearly made bad decisions with Andy. The court doesn't want to give a 4.5-year-old boy to a drug addict with no driver's license and a mother who's choosing this life. And these are facts, okay? I mean, I can prove it to you, okay? So Lisa stepped in and she said, okay, but I'm a teacher. I'm a responsible person and I can add credibility to the whole situation. So Lisa went in and said, oh, I don't have any children, unfortunately, but here's the way we want to do it. So Lisa was trying to convince the court, give him to me. And so Lisa almost raised you, okay? If in fact this strategy worked, you literally may have been granted custody to Lisa, and Lisa and your mother wanted to co-parent you and exclude me from the picture, okay? So that's what happened. And of course, when this was going on and Lisa's trying to appeal to the court, telling the story about the leaf bouncing in the water and about how I abused you and blah, 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 at the end of this, I'd forgotten I was in the courtroom. You know, I was filled with like, are you? And anyway, I blew up in the courtroom and I charged the podium and I said, that's a lie. And that was not good. By the way, if ever you have to ever go to court, don't do what I just did. But that wasn't the right thing to do. I should have patiently waited and then just, told the court later that, and tested. Anyway, it turned out that the court was adjourned that day and all those witnesses I told you about earlier all came back the next day and one by one told the court a very different story that was true. And then Lisa got cross-examined. That means we had the chance to cross-examine Lisa and prove to the court that this was a lie. So not only did Phil and Pat Pierce testify that your mother was, non-existent and off playing with Andy every day and not being a mother, and also Joyce and all the other people. And I'm not saying this because I want you to feel bad about your mother. That's not the case at all. In fact, the court determined that I was the parent that was going to encourage a co-parenting situation that was inclusive of your mother. And the court determined that your mother was not going to be that. Your mother was just going to take you and run for the wrong reason, okay? And not include me or not be inclusive or not condone a co-parenting relationship, which proved to be true. Your mother never condoned a co-parenting relationship at all. And Lisa helped with that. So the next day when Lisa came back, and we got a chance to cross-examine Lisa, we had to prove her to be a liar, okay? So the only time Lisa ever came to visit you, the only time ever, was when we were living across the street at 804 County Hill Road, the first house. You were maybe 2 years old, And Lisa came to visit the only time, and she came to visit with Cliff, who I liked, by the way. I liked Cliff. But she also came to visit with this friend. They used to call him Jaime. And so anyway, it was Thanksgiving or Christmas. I want to say it was Thanksgiving. So Cliff was in the kitchen making turkey. And I'm just getting to really know Jaime for the first time. I've met Cliff a couple times, and I liked Cliff. But I'm just getting to know them. So again, Lisa, Cliff, and this Jaime guy come to visit. They're staying overnight. I think you're 2 years old. Cliff is in the kitchen. He's, making a turkey, and he's busy in the kitchen, this, that, and the other. And, your mom, and me, we're all kind of running around the house. The house is full of great smells. It's active, music on the stereo and whatever. And while Cliff is busy in the kitchen cooking turkey, I walk into the living room and I see your Aunt Lisa kissing, like embracing, like aggressively tonguing and kissing Jaime, this friend that they brought with them. And when I walked up to them, Lisa just unbroke the hug and pushed him away, and she looked at me with a laugh, shh, don't say anything. I was like, I didn't know what to say. Her husband, Cliff, is in the kitchen cooking a turkey, and she is just in the next room, in the living room at 804 Conneaut Road with you, and you're in like this little playpen type thing, and she's kissing Jaime. I'm like, what the fuck? And Lisa's like, shh, like that. I didn't know what to do. Of course, they stopped doing that. And I asked your mother later, I said, what's going on here? And your mom just like, yeah, this has always been Lisa. She's always had a boyfriend on the side of Cliffy, and don't say anything about it, whatever. I couldn't. And so your mom was like, no big deal. Don't worry about it, And, I was like this. I didn't know what to say. Anyway, so the next day in the court, we cross-examined Lisa about her story about, abuse and how she's throwing leaves in the rippling stream and how I was a bad father. And we cross-examined her. We wanted to find out if she could tell the truth. So we asked her about this event when she came to the house to visit in front of Ian, and she's kissing this man while her husband is in the other room making turkey. Lisa didn't expect that. She didn't expect to be cross-examined that in front of a whole courtroom of people. Her eyes went, and the court said, Ms. Timpson, can you answer the question? Were you kissing this man while your husband was in the other room? We want to know. She would answer. Lisa was caught. Okay? Anyway, the reason why I share this whole story is for that and other people who cross-examined, and based on everyone's testimony, the court determined Lisa to be a complete liar. And also your mother not being truthful as well. And the court heard the testimony of all the neighbors and everybody, and her testimony was completely thrown out because she was a liar, total liar, right? And if in fact I didn't fight hard, and I didn't want to do all that, I didn't want to cause all that trouble with Lisa. I was done with her, I mean, I never saw her again after I caught her kissing Jaime in the kitchen, because I told her I didn't want her at the house if she was going to bring her boyfriend and her husband around my young son. I didn't think that was a good example. And so she got angry at me like, ugh, I was such a stick in the mud, right? I never saw Lisa again after that. And of course she got angry at me, and then when we were getting divorced, this was Lisa's opportunity to come in and get herself a son, which is what she was trying to do, and be co-parenting you with with Denise, who looked like she was going to lose custody. So this butterfly effect, you were this close to going to school, grade school in Montpelier, and then eventually going to high school and maybe middle school in Milton. This close. Yeah. So the butterfly effect is quite amazing, you know. But anyway, the court ended up siding, and this is, by the way, so rare. I mean, I don't know if you even understand that courts around the country, and especially liberal Vermont, never give custody of a 4.5-year-old boy to the father or the man, especially when the mother didn't even work, okay, and the father was working full-time. It never happens, never. So for this to happen with me in Vermont, what I'm trying to say is it takes mountains of evidence for the court to do that. And so it wasn't like, oh, maybe this, or, oh, you know, dad had more money than mom. No, none of that is true. Because back then, the court determined I had to actually pay not only my attorney, but I had to pay for your mother's attorney. So it wasn't like I had more money or I had more influence to influence anything. Actually, it was not the case at all. Your mother already had the benefit of the doubt, just being a woman in Vermont and a mother in Vermont. So I had to work really hard to make sure that it happened the way that it did. And I'm happy that it did, but I was sad that I had to go through that. I was sad to get a divorce. I mean, it sucked not only for me, but it sucked for you. It wasn't my dream, I'll tell you that. I was really genuinely sad that I knew that you were going to be brought up in a divorced family. So anyway, Lisa disappeared after that because she lost, and the court literally determined her to be not truthful. And for Lisa, with her ego, oh, she was very angry as a teacher and blah, 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 blah. But, you know, it all came out about Jaime and Cliff, and she was cheating on him, and it didn't help the divorce. They didn't win. And Lisa was very angry. And so Lisa disappeared forever after that. I don't think I ever saw her again. I think the next time closest was, I don't know, they were talking about coming to your graduation, or no, your orientation at St. Lawrence University. And then there was talk like, well, we're not going. You know, your mom and Lisa, we're not going to go if we have to see Ian's father. So for the next decade, it was all about, if your father's there, we're not going, you know. And so it's ironic, you know, now you just got married, Lisa attends your wedding, you know, and these are facts. I mean, Ian, I swear to God, I'm not making any of this up. I'm not exaggerating anything. It's fact. It's in the writing. If you want the proof, you can get it. If you want to go speak to the neighbors or anyone that was involved I mean, they're still all there. You can do that yourself. And even your mother will admit, if you put her in a corner, everything that I'm talking about, because it's fact. It happened. This was Lisa. And yet, it boggles my mind that she speaks at your wedding like she somehow or another had a direct effect on your life. She could have had a direct effect on your life. That's true. And it almost happened, but the butterfly effect turned more positive for you. At least I think that anyway. But yeah, I got to be honest with you. When I heard that Lisa was at your wedding and delivered the reflections message, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Even your grandmother, your mother's mother, apologized to me for everything. And Lisa and your mother know that. When you were doing, anyway, when baseball games or basketball games, especially, whenever you were going to basketball games up in Island Pond, your grandmother would, I used to call your grandmother and say, "Oh, Ian has a basketball game Friday night in Island Pond. Do you want me to pick you up?" Your mother hated that I had a relationship with her after we got divorced, because your grandmother knew that I was better for you than Lisa or your mom, that I actually tried to have a co-parenting relationship and bring your mom into the picture. And your mom couldn't do it because she had a lot of shame. And she covered that up by bad-mouthing me. "Oh, your father's bad, blah, 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 blah." And the reality was, she never could get over the fact of what she did and what she did with Lisa and the trajectory of where your life was going to go, or the mistakes she made with Andy. And so instead of owning all those mistakes and saying, "Yeah, I made a mistake," the easier thing to do was just bash Ian's father, make him out to be the monster that he really is. But, the reality is, today, you're angry at me. I'm not in your life, and you're happier with your mom, or that's my perception. And by the way, I'm happy that you're happy with your mom. I didn't share all that with you to make you angry at your mother. I don't want that at all. You will recall that your entire life, I would always remind you to make a birthday card or a Christmas card or a Mother's Day card for your mom. I always wanted you to respect your mother and take care of your mother. It was very important to me, and I knew it was important to you. And that's why the court granted your father custody, because they knew that he would try really hard to have an inclusive relationship with your mom. And the reason why your mom didn't win, or at least one of them, was that they knew that she was not going to do that if it went the other way. So here we are today, and you don't have a relationship with me at all, and I am the problem in your perception, and you're angry at me for what I did. So are you angry at your mother for what she did? Think about that. Are you angry at your mother for what she did? Oh, she didn't do anything. Right. And I'm not bringing that to light to make anyone angry, but the reality was, she didn't do anything. Nothing. For like 15 years, she was pretty much absent. Okay, with the exception of one or two events, and I don't want to go into a long video about each and every little thing, but sadly, I'm telling you the truth. She was absent, okay? And your grandmother knew that, and your grandmother watched it, and your grandmother literally, I swear to God, Ian, apologized to me. She said to me, "Joe, I'm so sorry. I did not raise her like this." I swear to God, Ian, that's what your grandmother said to me, okay? But yet, you're angry at me for what I did, and so I ask you, are you angry at your mom for what she did? And you're right. You're saying, "Well, my mom didn't do anything." You're right, she didn't do anything. And of course, Lisa did nothing either, except help create a very difficult relationship between her and me and you. It made you to be like a third wheel in our relationship. And that sucks. I didn't want that, actually. I never thought you should be in the middle between all of this. And the facts are that I was the parent who embraced co-parenting, and your mom and Lisa worked hard to avoid that. So where we are now is, music to Lisa's ears. I mean, I mean, this, oh, yay, finally, whatever. I mean, I'm still happy it worked out the way it did, that I had you in the best of years. I'm not happy that it wasn't. I would have been much more happier to be the white picket fence life. And it would have been a better childhood for you. And a lot of the, I think, issues that you have in your life today, I mean, I realize you went to counseling at St. Lawrence University. And I don't know the quality of the counselor you went to. I don't know what you told the counselor. I mean, obviously, at 20 years old, 19 years old, you have a lot of post-childhood issues, especially being in a divorced family. I was the parent who did everything. And so therefore, I fucked up on a couple things, maybe, because I never did it before. It's my first time being a parent, and I did the best that I could with what I had, and I didn't have anyone helping me. No one. I mean, no one. My mom died when you were 5. My dad tragically died, had to cut his legs off. I had to do that. I had to make that decision in 2008. And then my brother dies of suicide, and there were no other relatives. And so I had no one to help me. No one. I couldn't, get any financial help. I couldn't get anyone to take care of you if I had something to do. There's a reason why, like when my father was dying, okay? My father was dying. I got the call from the doctor on December 17th, 2008. He told me, your father will die tonight or in the next couple of days, for sure. You need to get here to visit with your dad. And so I had to drop everything to go visit my dad and say goodbye to my father. And so I tried to get your mom to take care of you for those 3 days because, one, you had a very important basketball game on that Saturday to attend. And two, they told me that children under the age of 15 were not allowed in this particular part of the hospital. So I tried to get your mom to take care of you. Oh, no, your mom had a gig to go to. She was busy. She was too busy. And without going into too many details, that was the story of the entire 10 years. Your mom was always too busy going to gigs. Gigs are like music events, parties, whatever. She just was too busy. And so that's the reason why the Pat twins became like part of our life. You will recall that Sharon and David took care of you for those 3 days while I went down to take care of my father and help him die with my brother. And the Pat twins thought of you like their son. You will remember how many hamburgers and cheeseburgers we went to at their home. You will remember whitewater rafting with the Pat twins. They were like your second family. They came to your high school graduation, They came to your Good Shepherd graduation. They attended a lot of functions for you. They genuinely asked about you a lot. They loved you. They love you. They were sad that you didn't invite them to the wedding. But what I'm trying to say is that back to, I was just learning how to be a parent, and I was not only learning how to be a parent, but I had to learn how to do it by myself, completely by myself, because your mom did not help me, okay? I'm sure, I don't know what your mom or Lisa says about me, so I'm not going to say that they say bad things about me, but I can tell you right now, I reached out to try to get help. I didn't get it, okay? They were invited to everything, okay? You went to the Olympics in Chicago, okay? I remember that. #1 in the nation, and the whole world was so proud of you. The whole St. Johnsbury community was so proud of you. Your mother had free airline tickets. The Junior Olympics paid for my airline ticket, your airline ticket, and your mother's. Your mother was too busy. She didn't want to go. She didn't go. And it's not just the Olympics, but the Hershey events and all of that. It wasn't me who precluded her from going. As a matter of fact, I begged, and your grandmother knew it. And your mother knew that I had a relationship with your grandmother, and that made her very angry. So, you know, I had a lot more experience, and so yeah, I did thousands of things. I brought you to school every single day in the truck in the morning, and then picked you up every night, and then brought you to practice. I mean, Ian, for like 10 straight years at 180 days a year. What is that, like 20,000 trips I brought you to school? You know, and I loved every minute of it, by the way. But, you know, again, you know, what I did is different than all your other friends. You know, you don't have any other friends who had fathers that did what I did because they didn't have to. And I didn't expect to do it either. But I was learning as I go. And so, yeah, I make mistakes, okay? But you're not mad at your mom, but you're mad at me because maybe I made some mistakes. But here's what I feel that you don't do that would not only make you happier, but definitely would make me happier and make our relationship better. I feel that you look hard to find a mistake that you perceive that I made, but you don't acknowledge or look hard for all the good things that I did. You know, when I think about your youth and me as a father raising you, I don't remember the negative things or focus on the negative things that happened. Actually, I think a lot about the joyful things that we did. I remember the trips you and I used to make over to Katahdin, the solo ones you and I did, and then when we took Alex and climbing Katahdin. I remember almost every weekend you and I hiking. Oh, Ian, where do you want to hike today? You want to go over to Crawford Notch? You know, what do you want to do? Where do you want to hike? I remember, you know, planning our very first cruise when we went to Bermuda, and I just remember all of that. I remember all the rides back and forth to school and the conversations we had in the car back and forth to school. I remember when you told me about how you didn't want to go to Barnett School anymore and you wanted to go to a different school. I put you in 3 different schools and let you choose which school you wanted to go to. And you chose Good Shepherd, which I had to pay for. And I said, okay. So I found the money to pay for that, and I put you in Good Shepherd. A year later, I got a court order that I had to go to court about that. Your mother and Lisa tried to prevent you from going to Good Shepherd. They didn't want you to go to Good Shepherd anymore, and they tried to say that that was religious, and they didn't want that. Okay, I know you don't believe me. It's fact. I have the paperwork, okay? It's in the paperwork. They tried to prevent you from going to Good Shepherd, okay? And your mom tried to get you, again, back over to Montpelier. It was a constant battle, a constant fight, you know? I didn't put you in Good Shepherd because I'm Catholic or because I wanted you to go to Good Shepherd. I put you in Good Shepherd because you wanted to go to Good Shepherd and you felt more happy and you didn't feel bullied on the bus at Good Shepherd and you felt like those people were smiling. Those are your words. You said, well, I said, Ian, why do you want to go to Good Shepherd? You said, because they're smiling. It's okay. Good idea. Good answer. So at the time, I wasn't flooded with money, but I had to find the money to pay for you to go to Good Shepherd, and I did. And I made it happen. And, I did a lot of things, thousands of things, okay? So, yeah, it's easy for you to find 5 or 10 things where you want to perceive that I did something wrong. And since your mother pretty much did nothing, and I'm not trying to be mean about that, but those are facts, okay? It's easy for you not to find bad things if you don't want to look for it, you know? And again, my motive for this video is not to get you angry at your mother, because I don't want that. In fact, I want you to love and continue to respect and enjoy the relationship with your mother. I'm really happy she was at your wedding. All of that, okay? The Lisa thing, I can't really say I'm happy about that, but I just explained the Lisa thing to you. I'm sure the Urias family doesn't know about Lisa with Jaime and the boyfriend and all of that. I'm sure they don't know all of that. In fact, I'm sure that the Urias family doesn't know about any of this. In fact, I think the Urias family probably thinks that your father is a really bad person, when the truth is everyone who knew you growing up knew our relationship and us growing up to be very different than probably what they perceive. Talk to the Patlins, talk to the Zhangs, talk to the Kratos, talk to Bruce and Joyce, talk to all the people that knew you very, very well when you were growing up. And I think that those people will talk about things a little differently. But anyway, this video is getting long. I'm making this video, one, I just wanted to share a couple things as far as like your name and the butterfly effect thing. Got a little off topic on some of that because of like, I learned about Lisa going to your wedding and delivering the speech. I'm sure you're actually listening to this. I'm sure you're actually like, yeah, of course Dad's not happy about that. I don't know. I find it hard to believe you invited Lisa to do that, to be honest with you, because you knew a little bit about Lisa. I mean, you and I both know, I mean, she was not a part of your youth. In fact, if she had had her way, your youth, your life, and your trajectory would be completely different. As a matter of fact, back to the butterfly effect, I'm not taking credit for anything because, you know, that's not at all what I'm trying to do. But you would not be married to Gabby if it were not for me. That's fact. You would never know Gabby. You would never have met Gabby if it were not for me. You will recall that that summer when you wanted to find a summer job, you kind of didn't know what to do and whatever. And so I pushed you. You actually got irritated with me, but I pushed you. It's, Ian, we got to make a CV, we got to make a resume, and you need to really work hard to make the best resume. And I pushed you to revise it, rewrite it, revise it, rewrite it. And we spent a lot of time making that resume. And then I was on the internet looking for that perfect summer job. And I found that job at Camp Walt Whitman for you. And then I pushed you to submit the resume. I did, you and me together, we did it all in order for you to get that job at Walt Whitman. And then I remember when you had the interview, the video interview with them and all of that. And I helped you get I helped you get the job. And because of that, you got the job and you met Gabby. So that is a butterfly effect that happened. So think about that. Think about where your life is today and how many things in your life today are a direct result of how your father guided you. You know, I know you, one time you wrote me an email that said you hated track and field and blah, 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 and you hate me because I was whatever, this, that, and the other. But, you know, you also told me that you were really grateful that I pushed you to do certain things in order to, you know, help you achieve certain levels.
Years old when I saw an ad in the paper for the Junior Olympics, and initially I was like, I really don't want to do that. I'm not a track kid. I don't like to run. Basketball's my thing. My dad pushed me to do it. So I went down to the field house. There was tennis, soccer, basketball, and track and field. And I did well in everything. I took first place in everything except for basketball, which I thought was my sport. And then I actually qualified for nationals in the 50-meter dash when I was 9 years old. And so then over the next few years, I went to the Hershey Track and Field National Championships 4 times. Those were all great experiences. And I'm glad my dad made me go to the Junior Olympics that day.
And on the same token, you don't like me. Anyway, I just want to share a couple of these things. I still love you very much. No doubt about that. I do miss talking to you. I do think you're a little misguided for where you're focusing your energies with our relationship. I think you would be better served, we would be better served if in fact you would focus more on the positive things that your father did for your life, which there are thousands, than try to search hard for anything that you can perceive as negative and then actually massage it so it grows. It's not going to help you in the long haul, and it's definitely not helping us. And, you know, I've told you this before, but I don't know of anyone that is going through what we did. No one. I think it's, again, I've said this before, I think it's really sad that you have had to deal with this. And part of it, and most of it, actually is because you happen to have been in a divorced family that turned out to be, you know, caused some negative ramifications. But, you know, how much of that is all my fault? You know what I mean? Is it all my fault, or because of that situation, do you ever look back and say, but, you know, thank God my father, you know, did this, because of that, the butterfly effect turned into this. So I don't know if this video, you know, stirs something up within you or wakes you up a little or what, but I wanted to just sort of lay out a few facts and tell you how you got your name, the butterfly effect. I wanted to congratulate you on the beautiful video that I saw about your wedding, and let you know that I think you looked really happy, and congratulations. Obviously, I'm really sad about it all, but I actually was going to go inside the wedding, but I thought about it, and I did not want you or Arturo to do what was done to me when I was in Arizona. In Arizona, you called the police on me. And the idea that I went through all the effort to go to your wedding and just show up, I thought about it and discussed it with a few people. Well, what if they call the police on you at the wedding and that happens again? And I couldn't be guaranteed that that wouldn't. And so that's the reason why I didn't show up inside your wedding, because I didn't want that to happen. And it's really sad that I even have to have this conversation. I never dreamed in a million years that I would be having this kind of conversation with my son after all I did. I still think I was like the world's greatest dad, given the circumstances that I had to be a dad with. I hope that if you become a dad someday, you don't have to do it the way I did it, which is solo, 100%, with no help, and try to figure it out along the way. But given the circumstances that I had, and everyone also would agree, I still think I did a really good job. So, and I'm really still proud of it. Again, we all make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes too. Definitely, you will make mistakes. You've already made mistakes, okay? But maybe you just don't know it yet. But, you know, that's what life is going to teach you, you know. The best thing about making a mistake is when you can look at it and say, okay, I made a mistake there, but going forward, I'm not going to do this again, or I'm not going to do that again, and traverse it a little differently. Anyway, just wanted to get that out there. I wanted to just let you know I love you, and I hope all is well. Okay, bye. Wait a minute. Afterthought. I wanted to say this, and I forgot to include it in my video. But, you know, maybe you're watching this video and you're thinking, my dad, he's really clueless. He doesn't get it. I mean, you know, maybe there's just like something I completely don't understand, or I don't recall, or I don't remember. I mean, I'm genuinely, sincerely asking you, you know, maybe I don't get it. You know, maybe I need to be told a little better. Or maybe I was sleepwalking one night and I did something horrifically abusive that I'm not even aware of, you know. I mean, I really don't get it. You know, I can't think of anything that I did that justifies being canceled completely as you're doing. I just can't do it. And especially when I look at all the other families and fathers I mean, and no one else is going through this. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. I absolutely adored Herbert. You know, what a nice guy, what a nice family, right? Herbert would never do this to his father, never in a million years. And Herbert's sister and Herbert's mother would never allow this to be done to Herbert's father. You know, and I like Herbert's father. You know, was he a significantly better father than me? I don't know. I wasn't in the picture, but I'm guessing, I'm guessing not. But Herbert's family would not allow this to happen. Well, I don't have the family that Herbert has or Benjamin has. So I don't have, a wife that will stick up for me or a family that will stick up for me and kind of try to help you get to see things correctly. So it's just me. And actually, it was just me and you. And so the fact that this is happening, I mean, there's no one else sticking up for me. So you need to stick up for me, but you're not doing that. And I can't figure it out. So anyway, hope to hear from you.